Hello, everybody. We have a very fun podcast planned today with Lydia, who is a social media influencer and content creator and social media manager under the hashtag Be Like Lydia, mainly on TikTok, but cross platforms. And Lydia, what's on your mind?
Honestly, today is so hot in New York, and the only thing that in my mind that is like it's so cool to be a social media manager and be able to work from home with my AC on because it's just hell out there. So yeah, and kind of like embracing the moment that being a content creator, being social media manager and influencer, you can actually decide when and where you work, and that is just amazing, especially
On a
in
hot day. Good for you. So,
yeah.
I have a question for you on that subject. A lot of businesses are now interested in TikTok as a platform to promote themselves, to build awareness, and very often build engagement. Talk to us about your experiences with what businesses benefit from that platform.
Oh, I believe like every business should be on TikTok right now, just because, especially the ones that have the target audience there. Because, for example, if we are talking about that, I don't know, the businesses that target audience like, I don't know, 55, 65 plus, I mean, they will benefit for sure less than the ones who have a Gen Z or Gen Alpha there on TikTok, right? But overall, I feel like every business should be there because that's the platform where you can actually build a community, where you can engage with the audience, and where you're not just like selling something, because businesses shouldn't sell anything on TikTok, but you kind of connect with the audience, you show the values, you like make your products go viral just because you connect with the audience, because you connect with influencers, you introduce some creative ways, and everybody start talking about it. So I feel like it's a very easy, I mean, not easy, but like it's a very great way of introducing some of new products. It's a great way of actually like understanding what is going on in the market. It's a great way to understand what actually people think, what your product is about. And yeah, it's just, I feel like there are so many benefits that it's
So you,
just
you said,
crazy.
Lydia, you shouldn't sell on TikTok. So
Yeah.
how do you sell without selling? I mean, like what are the tricks that you got to use, and or is it just like a product placement kind of idea, or what is it? What do you
Yeah.
mean?
There are a lot of like ways. I mean, I feel like you need to make people in love with your product in a way, right? So sometimes it can be just, I mean, it all depends. Every business choose different strategy. But for example, there is a airplane air company, Ryanair from Europe, that are literally making so much fun on TikTok. Everybody loves them because their account is not about like, oh yeah, there are some, I don't know, nice destination to, I don't know, Mallorca, whatever. No, they're actually making fun of themselves. They're mocking themselves. They're telling so many jokes that even myself, like, I'm not a big fan of this, but I mean, it's budget airlines. You can fly with it. It's just like super, super cheap, but they're so fun to follow, and you follow them. And if something, for example, they will announce some destinations, you will know about it just because you're already following them. You like what they post. So here you are, right? So it's not direct selling, but it's selling. And then there are other things. For example, I don't know, the Rare Beauty. It's a beauty brand by Selena Gomez. They built such a great community, like such a great community that people are advertising the product just because they love the product. And like, yeah, for sure they have budget for like UGC creators, the influence, etc. But like, there are a lot of people that actually feel that they're part of the community, and that's why they will post, not because somebody paid them, and they are in love with the product. And when they are genuinely posting that they're in love with the product, other people, like, you know, potential customers, they're like, I want to try it. And there were so many cases when their products were just going viral just because, you know, people were just going crazy about it because of the community that they're building.
So it's really interesting that you say that. I worked up until last fall, I worked at Cracker Barrel, the restaurant company. And it was really interesting. I think if I'm remembering correctly, we were a little bit slow to get on TikTok, but one of the things that was happening was that there was a lot of sort of negative stuff just happening organically. And so we had to really get on the platform to kind of reshape the conversation around our brand. And we can never stop people from posting, whatever they post. But it was interesting. I agree with you. You almost have to be there if you're at least if you're a consumer brand. I mean, I don't know. Eric works in biotech. I don't know how much they're doing on TikTok, but you really have to be there and be presenting who you are, what your values are as a company, I find, or you're just going to get positioned by everyone else.
I feel like the kinds of drugs that are sold on TikTok might be different from the kinds of drugs that I
Keep it that way, Eric. Just keep it that way. Maybe I have a question. You were talking about build a community, right? How do communities get built on TikTok?
I mean, it's a very complex question. Basically, before building any community, the brand should understand what the brand is about, right? If it's established brand, for sure, they already have some guidelines. Most likely they're already ready, for example, on Instagram, right? And then they're basically bringing their values to TikTok, but then adjusting to the platform. What I mean, again, for example, I love talking about the rare beauty because they're awesome. So they're building the community that you are unique, you are rare. So embrace your personality, right? So they're having this on Instagram. So maybe on Instagram, it can be more aesthetic content. Maybe it's going to be more, I don't know, maybe some brand events or whatever. And then they're going to TikTok and they're using some trends. I don't know. There are, for example, CapCut filters, right? They're using some trending songs. So they're still doing the same thing. So they're still having the same message of that you are rare. They're showing different people. They're talking with different creators. There is a lot of about their awareness about, of everything. There are a lot of things going on. But this message is the same, it's just another platform. If we are talking about, the brand that is just established, the first question that you should ask, what are they all about? It's not yeah, okay, we are selling carbonated water. Why our product is different? Yeah, to whom we are selling? What is our mission? What is our vision? Before the brand actually is going to any socials, they need to answer a lot of questions, and you need to understand themselves what they're doing. Because I had opportunity to work with a couple of brands that are were startups. And we were changing the strategy so many times because we were in this mode when we were oh yeah, we have this product, we're going to be selling to these people. And then we are testing and it's not sold for these people.
Right.
It's still yeah, it's not working. And then we're changing everything. We're changing the product. We're changing the positioning. We're changing this. And then, yeah, it kind of worked, but not completely. And then we understand that this is not a niche. So when you're in this kind of mode, when you're still searching, I would say your social is also going to be searching, right? So you're going to be also kind of trying different, way of talking to people, right? Maybe you will be on TikTok as, your bestie, but also you can be a teacher, right? It all depends what you want to. So I would say, yeah, as just to sum up everything, if you already established brand, most likely you know what you're doing. You just need to adjust to the platform and kind of understand as well. Maybe you'll be more entertaining, but maybe you're going to be more educational, but still the whole scope going to be the same. If you're the brand that startup that is searching, it's going to be searching everywhere, and you will need to understand what's going on in the process. So yeah.
Lydia, I have a question. How small is there too small for TikTok? It's a global platform, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a local pizza joint or a local hardware store, can you benefit from TikTok, or is it kind of you've got to be something that can sell globally?
I'm pretty sure you can benefit. TikTok, it's the same as Instagram, right? The same as any social media. Now it's everywhere, right? In the very beginning, 2019, even not talking about 2020, when we went to pandemic, but you can be on TikTok, but no one was TikTok, and it was okay, whatever. But right now, there are a lot of people like myself, for example, that is not Googling, but doing the TikTok search. So if you're a local brand, you want to be there,
Okay.
because the search engine in TikTok is actually very great. So that's why even if you're a local brand, you better be there. For sure, again, it all depends on the target audience. All depends, like, this is hardware store or it's a pizza place, because pizza place can actually be great for TikTok, but hardware store, I mean, like, I don't know. If it's
Yeah.
a very small town, it's like 10K people live there. I mean, like, maybe you're okay without it, right? But if you're selling online, that's another story as well. So it's like very controversial. And there are a lot of cases when even with very small businesses, like in very small towns, were just going viral and were actually like, becoming a phenomenon. They were growing so fast. So yeah.
So it's something, sort of jumping back to something you said earlier, what are the things you're seeing businesses do that you're like, wow, that was a really bad idea? Or like, what are there things that people are doing on these platforms, particularly to TikTok and so forth, where they're just missing the mark? And why do they miss the mark?
Yeah, they don't understand what the platform is about. I think that's the main problem. Like there are a lot of, especially like some big companies, right? They're just coming to TikTok and they're like, oh yeah, just social media, let me post some video there. They don't understand what this platform is about. And like they most likely need to hire somebody who understands the platform, and they're thinking like, it's okay, we will just handle it somehow. We will post our cute videos, I don't know, corporate one, it's gonna be fine. No, it's not. Like, it's not working like this. You need to be, you need to understand what the platform is about. Again, it's going for every social, but especially on TikTok, because it's very authentic, and like a lot of content is made just like, you just like taking your phone and recording something. There are this thing going on. It's not like on Instagram. Most likely on Instagram, you're not going to be doing this. But on TikTok, it's like this. And the companies coming to TikTok, they're thinking like, oh, we'll just handle it somehow. Or they're trying to sell a lot. And then people just like, meh, why I need to follow? You're not coming to TikTok. I mean, you're coming to TikTok to buy, but not like directly, right, as well. So
you want to be entertained, not just like it can't be like, it's funny you say that, because I don't remember why, but I was researching I think it was a restaurant company or something, maybe 6-8 months ago, and every like exactly the same information, whether it was on Facebook, their website, TikTok, every Instagram, whatever, it was all the same. It was all just the promotional, like, come on Fridays and get a free whatever, like whatever. And it was kind of, I mean, I realize that not everybody's going to see all of it, but it did feel a little bit like it was like a cut and paste campaign instead of a real brand.
It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money, honestly. Like, nobody's saying that you can't post any promotional material on TikTok, but it should be adjusted to the platform. You can't take, I don't know, horizontal video and just post it there and just believe that somehow it will work out, and then put some, I don't know, very big hashtag of, I don't know, promotion, and just believe that it somehow will work with some random font that nobody's using for 55 years. No, it doesn't work. You need to understand the rule of the games. And like, that's the whole point, because like nobody's coming for TikTok, like, but nobody's following the company who's just promoting something. Like, you need to have something, you need to educate, you need to entertain, you need to have a reason for following. And then when you're going to the page, and for example, as you said, Jeff, that like the company was just promoting something, do you want to follow personally? No.
So let me ask you a couple other questions, Lydia. So you were just saying, hey, there are the rules of the game, right? And the rules of the game, you don't necessarily promote, and you understand that you need to be entertaining and you need to be educational. What other rules of the game are companies either disregard or kind of don't respect to their detriment? And what rules do they follow well?
That's a pretty interesting question, to be honest. When I was talking about the rules of the game, I feel like when companies deciding to go on TikTok, they should actually find the person who knows the platform. And what I mean, know the platform, who is not only like working on this platform, but also using the platform, because the platform is very dynamic. Like, if you are taking the person who is not understanding, just like, okay, I'm going to be working with TikTok, and I worked with LinkedIn, and now we're going to be working with TikTok. It doesn't work like this, because it's very dynamic. It's changing a lot. Like, sometimes, I don't know, like simple, for example, that like Before you couldn't post more than 1 minute video, right? And now you can, but it changed and you didn't know about it. And you just like, okay, I will post some random video, it will work out, and then it doesn't work out. So like simple even things about there's some new features that you should be using, because TikTok is changing a lot and you need to be on top of their game. You need to be there. Like when the new features appear and you need to know it. If something, I don't know, there are a lot of trending songs, you need to know it. And that's what, like, you can't just like I feel like one of the biggest mistake that companies make, they like very corporate, especially companies, the process of approving something, the process of like, just like, okay, we'll post a video, it takes like a month or two to get all the approvals from everybody. They're not given the freedom, and then they're like, TikTok does not work. Yeah, for sure, because this trending song was trending, I don't know, 3 months ago. Or this trend was like, it was just like, it's not trending anymore. That's it. It's very old. And there are a lot of people who are actually, there are a lot of companies that are doing this. You see them, and then you see comments of the people like, oh, yeah, thank you. But like, we saw it like 5 months ago. Like, that's very old. And
So
yeah.
Lydia, speaking of old, you mentioned before that there's you wouldn't go with a platform like TikTok for somebody who's like this in the 65 bracket or whatever. So for ancient people like myself, what is the platform? How do you reach how do you see the different generations and different platforms? Do you kind of say these people are Facebook people, these people are TikTok people, or is it really more complicated than that?
I mean, for sure there are like simple rules, right? So most likely if you are, I don't know, below 20, most likely you're on TikTok, right? And if you're above 30, most likely you're going to be using Instagram more. So, but overall, I would still recommend to do the research. Like, I am for the research, for the numbers. You need to understand who your target audience is. For sure, it's much easier just to say, yeah, if it's 30 plus, go on Instagram, 40 plus, go on Facebook, I don't know, 60 plus, go on TV. No, it doesn't work like this.
Go with
Like,
snail mail.
yeah, like, because I know a lot of people that like, because every audience is different, right? If you're talking about people who are interested, I don't know, in the beauty and cosmetics, etc., they can be on one platform, like this one, for example, beauty cosmetics, like even if they're 30 plus, I mean, there is a high possibility for some particular niche that they will be also on TikTok and Instagram, right? But like, if we're talking about, again, the hardware store, right? I mean, most likely, I don't know. I mean, I need to do the research. I don't know where they are, but like, they're not there, right? So you need to do the research. You need to see the data. You need to see the competitors, where the competitors are. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, 65 and 60 plus people, they are still on TikTok. Maybe not in this same quantity as 20 plus, but still,
So I'm going to jump back to something you brought up earlier, because I am very familiar with this problem. And that was the problem of, in a corporate environment, this inability to get approvals for things. And it's really interesting because corporations are so used to, actually, I think corporate marketers, I'll say in general, are so used to everything having to be perfect. It sort of comes from the days of like, I'm going to put a, TV spot that I'm going to shoot for, $500,000 or $1 million or whatever. And I'm going to put it on and it's going to be, millions of dollars of media. And so I cannot get it wrong. And then there's also, Elena knows this quite well, is also the incredibly, sort of painful legal process of, we can't say anything that could be misconstrued as a promise, or we'll say something wrong or whatever. And so it's interesting. I don't know how much have you come across this, and can you think of any like best practices that larger corporations should use in order to kind of get over that need for perfection?
Yeah, I used to work in corporation, so not as a marketing specialist, but before even this, and I know the pain of getting the approvals for everything. And there's a bunch of emails and meetings that you need to go to approve something. And honestly, that's not how it should be with socials. Like, I feel that it's killing, especially It's killing, I mean, it's killing Instagram as well. It's killing Instagram, it's killing TikTok, it's killing creativity, the same way as any social media person who's working for marketing shouldn't like sit for 8 hours. I believe that it's also not how it should work, because a lot of these people, like, they're creative people, and yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but sometimes you just need to scroll TikTok or scroll Instagram for inspiration. Yeah, it feels like it's not a job, but it is a job. So
yeah, we have our first comment from a live viewer, and he said, and Abdul says, most executives don't get it, and companies are way too bureaucratic to change, so their social and media ends up being terrible. So I think we have agreement.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. It's like, that's how it is. That's how it is. And like, talking about, for example, people who got used to reporting with a lot of like big budgets. I mean, these people should just accept the rules of the game, that it's not working anymore like this. You can have an iPhone and record, and it's going to be amazing, and you will get more traction, you will get more followers, you will get more engagement, you will get more publicity. Talking about all of these approvals and legal things, I feel like if company wants their social actually work, they need to make some adjustments. Maybe they should have a team that is working fast. So for example, there is a trend, and then there are like, I don't know, 3 people responsible, and they can just say in the Slack or whatever, yes, instead of 55 emails, instead of something like crazy shenanigans going on, they should just say yes, 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 and that's it. And then you're posting. So the process should be fast, because I have a feeling that a lot of corporations, they're slow. They're losing the momentum, and then their socials are not working. So they need to adjust if they want to be there.
I think there's also a need to sort of recognize that, like, if you get it wrong, if you get it really wrong, that's bad. So there needs to be some guidelines, but it's okay to like Eric always says this to me when I'm posting on LinkedIn. He's like, you know what? If it's a bad post, for the most part, nobody's going to see it, and then you just move on, right? So, but before I let Eric or Elena jump in with another question, ChatGPT has a few questions. So would you prefer, I always ask people, would you prefer absurd or thought-provoking first?
First. Okay, so they're going to be still 2. Let's go with their absurd.
Absurd. Everybody goes.
That is always the answer. Absurd first.
It actually didn't give me a lot of great absurd ones this time, but where did it go? Where's the one that I wanted? If you could only post one emoji for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
I would put this heart. There are this emoji that is like holding heart like this.
I was holding out for the poop emoji.
No, I mean, like, we feel like the world is cruel. We need to spread more love and like support for each other. So I would just use it, but it would be very, very terrible world when I.
Okay, well, I'm more cynical apparently than you are.
You are.
All right. So the other one I'll ask you was if you could create a new social media platform, what would you call it, and what would the focus be?
So you thought that is a hard question to ask on your feet.
Yeah, I mean, I would go for something. Myself, I'm also a musician, so I would go something for musicians. I would go something for the community. So I feel like sometimes we are lacking this community feeling there. Like, yeah, we are connecting through, I don't know, social media, etc. But if they're going to be some particular platform where you can actually connect with the people in the same, I don't know, the same genre, in the same city, you can gather together, you can create something amazing, and it would be very, I don't know, like, approachable as well, because sometimes I feel it's not really approachable on some socials. That would be great. So maybe it will not be.
Unfortunately, Lydia, you just gave away this like $1 billion idea on life.
Okay, if somebody can create it for me,
like, heart to the world.
Exactly.
So let me ask you a question on this subject. It seems that people are trying to form like-minded communities. And do you see the social as being an enabler in this process or a hinderer? Meaning, if there wasn't social, would they go meet in person and get farther? Or if it wasn't for social, they just wouldn't find niche characters with, niche hobbies, question mark.
I'm supporting socials. Like I found so many people there. Like one of their examples is literally I was on TikTok when I lived in Poland, and I was on TikTok, and one person just duetted my video, and I wrote to this person, and this person was from New York. I came to New York a year ago, and then we met. We created like music together online, and then I moved to New York, and we met, and we are friends. Here you are, socials, absolutely random person on my FYP on TikTok. I was in Poland, they were in the US. Here you are. Like we would never meet. And I have so many examples, like especially also another examples of like meeting somebody offline and then living in absolutely different continents and still maintaining this connection because of the socials. Because I'm posting, they're posting, we know what is going on with each other's lives. If we would be just like not having it, like we would lose the connection. So I feel like, yeah, for sure there are cases that can go extreme sometimes, right? There are a lot of people who are kind of like afraid of their meeting offline because online is so comfortable. You like being in your home in your pajama just talking to somebody. But overall, I feel it's a good thing, not a bad thing.
I mean, I agree. I mean, we've been doing this podcast now. This is episode, 26, I think, that we're up to. And it's really interesting. First of all, I keep selling people on they should start their own podcast, but that's a different story. But one thing that I think is really interesting is we have conversations with people that we probably would never have, because why else would you, it's just not, there's not a lot of forums for you to just get together with somebody that you don't work with, that you don't live with, that, whatever, to just chat. And so I agree with you. I mean, I feel like I've met a ton of people this year, whether through the podcast or through LinkedIn, who I really consider like to be truly my friends, and they would not have been my friends if it weren't for those social media platforms. So it really is there really is an opportunity, I think, to connect people.
Yeah, I feel like it's like with everything, right? So if like you can for sure overuse anything, right, and turn it into a bad thing. But overall, like, yeah, there are a lot of opportunity to use this as a good thing, and social media is one of them. So
Yeah, and I think that from my perspective, the sort of dark side of the web is and social media is this ability to sort of be semi-anonymous and troll people, etc. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about using social media as a more of a force for good. And I feel like the dark side of things can sometimes take off faster than the light side. But I feel like people are coming around more and more. Maybe that's just because I'm on social media now all the time, whereas 5 years ago I was not on social media.
yeah.
So let me ask you a question about different platforms, right? Given the different targets, we talked about it, they all have their own quirks and positionings. So if you had to position a few platforms, like right off the bat, you would say TikTok is for blank, Instagram is for, LinkedIn is for. How would you describe them?
Yeah, so let's start with LinkedIn because it's easier for me. So LinkedIn is very professional one. So it's kind of like, you are selling yourself in a way that you're a professional who are like can do this and that and those, and you're selling yourself. So you're not, I don't know, posting the videos of cats there. You're more like, yeah, like I read this magazine and blah, 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 and I'm so cool and I get this certification, right? If we're talking about their like TikTok, I would say that it's very realistic, right? It's very like, I don't know, it's down to earth. It's very authentic. So you can post some random stuff, like something happened to you, you're posting it like just in the moment. It's not edited. The lightning is bad. Everything is bad, but the story is amazing. It can go viral. That's the platform for it because people there are searching for authenticity. If you're talking about the Instagram, I feel like it's in a way like a perfect life that you can have. So people are showing their good side only. And yeah, and there you can find something I read in this magazine, but from the other side, you can still post the videos of cats. So it's kind of like in the middle of everything. And that's how I feel that also the businesses should treat it, right? So they can't just have I have a promotional post that I posted on LinkedIn and let me just put it everywhere. No. So yeah, it can somehow adjust. You can adjust it and put it on Instagram, right, as something like an awareness thing, but you will not go with this on TikTok. So, and the same, you will not go with some random stuff. I don't know, something that you recorded, some joke that you recorded in the backstage of your product, whatever meeting. You will not post it on LinkedIn. You will just leave it there on TikTok for people to laugh and just, connect with you through it.
So, Lydia, fantastic conversation. As promised, it has flown by. We're just over half an hour right now. And as I mentioned beforehand, without any further warning, we're going to go around and ask everybody to give one thing that they want to leave the podcast guests with. And we always start with our guests, podcast audience with. What's one thing you want to leave the audience with, Lydia?
I would say that if you're not on socials, go on socials and don't be afraid of them. Like, I feel that this is the best way of actually, advertise yourself, advertise your product. It's a great way of changing your life. So yes, sometimes it can be a bit scary if you're going for a new platform and you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's not for me. But if you're like trying a bit hard, if you're going to be dynamic, if you're going to be like, stay on top of the game, like you can get so much benefit from it. And yeah, and I would say just go and check it out. So
Jeff, do you want to go next? Oh, you're on mute.
Wow, that's like the first time I've done that. So before I jump into my one thing, I'm going to go off mute, and then I'm going to ask you, Lydia, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Actually, you can check my website. It is now on the screen. And yeah, you can find me everywhere with Be Like Lydia. So on TikTok, just you can Google it. I'll put it on TikTok anywhere, and Be Like Lydia will pop up. So
awesome. Well, so for me, I think, a lot of what you've been talking about is really sort of, if I sort of go back to my sort of classic corporate marketing training is really about brand creation and really and I like your point about you really have to do the work to make sure you understand what your brand is and what it is that you're trying to convey so that you convey the message you can convey on whatever channel you're on makes sense for the channel and also delivers on your brand the way you want it to be delivered. So I will pass it over to Elena.
And I will continue with the theme. And you also need to understand that your legal review structure needs to change. Because if marketers decided that we're embracing a platform, you have to do it right. And to do it right, there may be structural changes to marketing ops, structural changes to legal that need to be done to maximize the presence.
Yeah, so my thing is pretty similar to what Elena just said. This conversation about how approvals can get in the way to the degree that it almost negates the value of doing the post, or at least it slows you down so much that we need to come up with a way of approving the content for, to make sure it is okay, but not necessarily worry about this perfectionism. One more thing that I want to do, because Jeff's book, just a little plug for Jeff's book here. Let's see if I can do this. Everybody move sideways. This always goes the wrong way. Oh, yeah. See, everybody's going the wrong way. The Middle Matters just came out a couple of days ago. Was that on the 18th? And it is such a fantastic book, and I can't say enough positive things about it. And so thank you again, Lydia, for a fantastic conversation. Flew by, and we look forward to keeping in touch with you.
yeah, thank you guys for inviting. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Lydia.
Thank you.